Welcome to the Launch Author Reveal, a talk show where we go between the pages of the book, behind the words, and right into the heart of the author who penned them for the intimate reveal of the book's backstory. Book lovers get great reads and giveaways, and authors get revealed during Q&A. Now, here's the Launch Author Reveal host, Michelle Chudy.
Hi, I'm Michelle Chudy. Welcome to the Launch Author Reveal. Okay, so this is really funny how you guys can't hear me and I'm over here being very animated. So, yes, laugh. This is fun. This is why we're live. So
I was trying to read your lips and I could see some of the words you were saying. I didn't know nobody could hear.
you actually have a new skill set now of reading lips. So this makes me laugh. We've had so much fun doing these reveals. Judy is just amazing because, one, she's been on this journey with me and laughing along the way as it's her turn to reveal. And I tell you what, we've had everything from the dog barking in the background to me not even being able to say my name. So that's what I love about these reveals. Okay, so if you are on Facebook, now that you can hear me, this is about the backstory of going behind the pages of these great books. I have a best-selling author with you today. Her name is Judi Reid. And because you didn't hear anything that I just said about her, I'm going to tell her bio all over again. And if you are on Zoom watching via webinar, leave your name and location in chat because I love interacting with you. And this just cracks me up. So anyway, okay, so we're talking to Judy about how she contributes value to people and helping them to understand. She is a best-selling author. She is also a breakthrough coach and an advocate to help women in particular understand their value. So this is something that we're doing the backstory as far as like why she wrote her book, Rise Up. And it is an inspirational book. I can tell you that it's something that you want to keep on your nightstand. You want to keep around you at all times because it's an encouraging book. And that's what I'm looking for in the authors that come on. And Judy, you are precious. I'm in a privileged seat today to be hosting this reveal. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about Rise Up. You know, why did you write your book?
To be a legacy. I've turned 70 years old, and I thought, well, maybe it's time to write this book. So I did, and I gave that as my gift to the people at my party, which was a lot of fun to be the gift giver at my own party. And I just felt like a book is permanent, and it was going to share my heart and to bring women from who might feel worthless into a state of feeling valuable. But for those people who have high self-esteem, it serves as an encouragement to them to keep on going in that regard. And that was 5 years ago. I'm 75 now. And we just had a new release. I have a personal assistant who is also an author and an artist. And she said, I can make this book look just fabulous. So she did. She put the artwork in it and we redesigned it. And Kingdom Builders Academy helped to launch it. And it's more beautiful than I could ever imagine to have a relaunch from 5 years ago at 75 years old.
I can tell you that that expression of what you just said is you. You are truly a gift that keeps on giving. And the fact that you would actually be so thoughtful to bring a gift to your own birthday party to celebrate life and to give into other people's lives. You actually have people signing in from all over the place. You have people on Zoom. You have people on Facebook. And Allie is actually on here, who is your assistant. And hey, Allie, you actually have people coming in from Washington. You have Linda coming in. Rena's on from San Francisco. And let's see who else is in the room already. We have Nancy in from Colorado. And you guys are fantastic. And then we have our Texas pal, Mr. Frank Blades is on
Oh, thank you.
Facebook. So Frank's on here, and then Michelle Jones is watching. So you guys, if you're watching on Facebook, share this. Let people know this is the launch author reveal that Judy is on, talking about her best-selling book, Rise Up. And she's also sharing more of her backstory and why she's an advocate for helping people to understand their value. And I love the fact that you truly pour yourself out in so many different ways. And as we get into your reveal and get more into what you're doing, I just wanted to read this comment that Allie mentioned in here, because I think this, speaks for everyone that has read this book already. She said that Rise Up is an amazing tool. And that's truly what it is. You're equipping us not only to be encouraged, but also to go out and help other people and to be a blessing to other people. And it helps us to remember who we are in Christ. So Frank said that he shared too. So let's talk about, why did you want to write about value in particular? Because I know this is a message for you. You actually named your whole, coaching practice, after that, about women of value. Why is value so important to you?
I felt growing up that I was worthless. It really affected my self-esteem. It affected the way I viewed life. And to the outside world, as I've spoken about in my book, we looked like the perfect family. But inside the walls of our house, things were different. And once you have been in that situation and come out on the other side through Christ, it's imperative, in my opinion, to try to help other people and to share what it was that made the difference. I mean, here I am at 75 talking about feeling rejected and low self-esteem as a child. And I think most people look at us as old and think we don't have memories like that, but they do stay.
Yes, most definitely. I can tell you from my own life coaching experiences that we start in the childhood. Doesn't matter how old you are, that foundational aspect is basically everything that you're building on and, turning into as you're older. And I look at, regardless of your age, you're as old as what you feel, no matter what your birth certificate says. So, self-esteem is something that is so fragile, but is also very resilient. And that's one of the things that, as I have journeyed on my own healing walk, that I have found that as long as you're willing to put in the effort, that you can turn things around and actually take significant events that shaped you and rewicker them to use it for good. So, with your backstory that we had talked about, prior to coming on, you had some significant events that actually helped you to become the person that you were, and then that shaped why you're doing what you're doing now. So let's talk about that. On your book in particular, you start off with a very heart-wrenching statement about some painful words that your mom said to you. So, once you share, why that was so significant, well, first of all, what she said and why that was so significant for you.
The words that she spoke were, "I will hate you for the rest of my life, and I'm sorry you were ever born." And at the time she said that, I was 55, and she was in her 80s. I was there for a Mother's Day weekend to give her some relief from the nurse's aides that she had to have all the time. So I went down thinking I was being a dutiful, loving daughter. And so I think that made it hurt even more, if that's possible, to have gone with such a heart for giving and showing love, and to have that turn around that way. And what that signifies to me is that although if she spoke those words earlier, I blocked them out. But there was just this cloud when I was growing up of being made to feel like she felt that way, although I wouldn't have been able to put words to it until she did a really good job of the ones that she chose. So that was, I think, really the significant and the light bulb moment for me. But at that point, I had met the Lord, whom she did not know.
Mm.
And I was able to spend time with her as she was dying. And when she said, "I hate you," one more time, I was able to look her in the eye and say, "But I love you, Mother." And I really meant it, because the Lord had been working in me to be able to, I actually prayed that he would put her in a situation like a nursing home or the hospital where she would need me, and I would go to her and he would give us those last moments, which he did. He honored that. We got to take a trip to Paris when she was in one of her little dilemmas, and oh, look at the women with their hats on, and we're walking down the Champs-Elysees. And so she gave me a treasured moment at the end of her life that helped strengthen me to feel more priceless than worthless.
Wow. That's such a powerful story. And I know that as a parent myself, I have two beautiful daughters, that sometimes that we don't understand the importance of our role and the significance of our words and how we can literally strip someone bare to the soul. By the things that we say, we can either build up or tear down, that our words are powerful. That my heart hurts for, what she said to you. I can't even imagine being told that from my mom, especially at the age, because it's funny because where we're at in age, I'm almost the age that you were, and you're almost the age where your mom was. And it's one of those things that, being in that position now for my mother to say something like that to me, I don't know how I'd respond to that, because at that time you pretty much know where you're at in life. But I've gone through a recent journey myself of feeling like an orphan. And I didn't realize that because I lost my dad when I was 23, died of cancer. And then, of course, my she's still alive and love my mom. But there's times where I actually felt like I was orphaned. And that's really an interesting mindset, because to feel like that when you actually have parents. Did you ever feel orphaned after, especially at that point?
You mean growing up or?
Mm-hmm. Or, well, anytime, because, the thing for me is like, I never really felt like an orphan until, I'm 50 years old. And it was something that I was dealing with where I almost felt orphaned, and it's nothing against my mother, but it was a mindset that I had to deal with. And the Lord walked me through a healing journey of that, because, those of us that are in Christ, we're not orphaned, we're adopted into him. We have that spirit of adoption. But I was just kind of curious, with those harsh words from your mom, did you ever feel like you were orphaned?
I think I would use the word rejected and unloved, which probably equate synonymously with the word orphan. I did feel very much alone. And another aspect of feeling orphaned, rejected, and low self-esteem is sometimes feeling suicidal, like I just can't take this anymore. And we lived by a river, and I can remember sitting on the wall that protected us from the river thinking, if I could just jump over this wall, slide down actually and swim out to the middle and just drown. That would be ideal. And that was, as a young girl, very unhealthy, of course, to feel that way. So I think if I had had parents that I felt like I could go to and felt safe with, that I would not have felt like an orphan and a reject.
Yeah, and that's something that when you say that, it makes me think of when people tell you to be kind to everyone because you never know what's going on. As far as like, you had the appearance of having the perfect home and the perfect family, but nobody knew that you were suffering like that as far as emotionally suffocating or starving, no matter how you look at it. But Allie said she grew up feeling orphaned, that her parents died early in life, and that your wisdom and gentle coaching techniques have helped her to grow stronger in the Lord and less like an orphan. And Allie, I can so see that. It's like whenever I've encountered Judy in any capacity, she has always imparted something of a precious jewel from her life of living and giving. So thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about, as you were in that place of just feeling rejected and unloved, here you are now as an advocate for value. How did you recover from that? Let's talk about the journey of, coming from that emotional trap that was very much justified and validated from your circumstances. How did you break through that to the point where you can actually help people find their value?
God put one woman in my path named Pat Self, and where I was always wearing the smile and giving to other people and seemed to have it all together, Pat was able to look through that and see that I had some issues, that I was wearing a mask, I think is the way it's put now. And so she just took me aside and told me how much God loved me and how precious I was to him, and went through different scriptural promises from the Lord of value. And although we haven't really touched on it yet, was one of the biggest events in my early years was that I was trapped in a car, in the darkness of a car at a drive-in movie, and there was a XXX film playing on it, and because I did not have a safe environment to go home to, I never shared that with my parents, and so they never knew. But it was something that I had to live with. So the orphan part, as well as having what I consider to be a PTSD experience, had all built up. So when Pat saw me, yes, I was wearing a mask because that just wasn't something to go around talking about. And Pat just showed me Christ's love, and that he had been pursuing me, he has chosen me, and he had a plan and a hope for me. Oh my gosh, I thought I had turned that daggone thing off. I wish that'd been your phone and not mine.
So I mute myself when you have your phone on. This is all. I think what I love about doing these live reveals, it's literally about having conversations with a bunch of friends in a live format. So we're all in everyone's living room. We're just not physically present. So, by the way, Delroy says great testimony. And I just want to give a shout out for those of you guys that are watching on Facebook. This is the Launch Author Reveal. Judi Reid is a best-selling author, and she is giving the backstory reveal on her book, Rise Up. And please share, let people know that this is going on, because one, we're having a lot of fun live and all the stuff that's going on with it. And then also she's giving away signed copies today. And I'm going to pop a link in Facebook in a bit. For those of you that are on Zoom, you already have it. She's giving away a free download to a beautiful print that all you have to do is go to that link and you can access it and, get her blessing there. But,
and Allie designed it.
And Allie designed it. So well done, Allie. Allie, we're going to have to pop you on here and show your beautiful face and showcase your skill sets as well and your authoring. But yeah, that's something. If you guys are on Facebook, you just need to leave your name and email in the comments or message my page in order to get in on her giveaways. But as far as the download, I'm going to pop that link in a bit, that way you can access it. But yeah, so let's go back before your phone and not my mute.
I'm so sorry.
Not to point fingers, but we got to laugh about this. You were trapped in the car. You have a traumatic experience as far as being exposed to something you didn't need to see and nowhere to take that pain or experience to. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, there's things that we carry, and if you don't resolve that, and I know that you're a coach and you get this, but for those of you that haven't gone through the whole coaching experience or counseling or anything, that if you're stuffers like me, and you keep not dealing with stuff and you push down, you push down, you push down, it comes out one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And it comes out in the way that we either freeze up or the way that we explode. So Judy, can you paint for me a before and after picture of what you were like before Pat got a hold of you, and then what you were like, once she helped to open up your eyes and heart to heal? What that transformation looked like, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, what it looks like is that you don't want to commit suicide anymore.
Yeah, that's a start.
That's really harsh. But that was just a major thing, because for so much of my life, I saw that as the only way out. Now, I never acted on it, but I think just living with the mindset of not being able to tolerate day-to-day living and seeing that as the only way out affects your choices, it affects your relationship, it affects just about every aspect of a life. So when Pat came in, and she showed me Christ's love in a way that I had not experienced it before, and she was never legalistic about reading the Bible or going to Bible study or developing this relationship with Christ, and she was never judgmental. But she gently led me into realizing that God has control of my life, and how very, very selfish it would have been of me to make that decision for myself. All the people that would have been hurt by it, all the losses that there would have been. And if I hadn't stayed around, look at all the things that I would have missed. Now, I want to be real clear to people who might be in the audience who are non-believers that to accept Christ is the answer, but it doesn't mean life is going to be a piece of cake after that. And I also mentioned that in my book. There are ups and there are downs. That's just life. But if you have a perspective of this is in God's control and I am loved unconditionally, regardless of my past, regardless of whether it was my fault or whether somebody did something to me, the whole perspective of getting up out of bed every day becomes one of, this is the day the Lord has made, I will rejoice and be glad in it. So there's a major shift once Pat gave me the tools to cope and to actually thrive, even though I'd go back down in the pit sometimes.
That's something that I think that you're bringing a lot of truth and light to, is that you're wrapped up in these horrible experiences, and we could easily just, end it all. And not overcome it, but it just took that one person to be kind and to reach out to you, and they didn't have to be overbearing. And they literally, she extended a hand of help to you, and it was not just help, it was hope. It was an equipping, and that's powerful. That moment of kindness, how you can reach out to someone and just be kind, and look at you now. Look at the Judy's. Like for me to see the people that I know tell me the stories that they tell me on these reveals, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around a Judi Reid that would be willing to, in her own life, a Judi Reid that would feel helpless or hopeless, because you are a woman of great power, of great authority. And I mean that in a way of honor, because I look at the voice that you have, which is so sweet and polite. It's a roar out in the world when people encounter your message, because the purity of what you actually say. So thank you for Pat to help you find your way to who you really are. That's what I just love. So how do you help people transition from that place of brokenness? Because that truly is a crushing life to actually live that. How do you help people when you're in your coaching and just, overall pouring out to transition out of that mind and spirit crushing experience into a thriving position? How are you giving back like Pat did?
I think a person has to be looking for help. I think they have to want the help. So when they come to me, they're saying, I know something's going on in my life and I need the help. And we don't necessarily have to go into the trauma that they've experienced, because I am not a counselor. I'm not a professional therapist in any way. So it's a matter of using the scripture and the way Christ sees us as the entrance into a woman's heart, and then an awareness of what's going on. Sometimes it doesn't go back as far as my history does, and it's not necessarily because of rejection by a parent, but it could be situations that they're living in, or they just know they're made for more. There's more to life than what's here. So I like to take people who are also feeling like, I got a lot done. I've been in counseling maybe, and my life is at a good point, but there's still something more that I want. And then we take their dreams and their hopes and we build on them to help them break through to what they want. And that's one thing I love about coaching, is the coach, as you and I, do not come in with a preconceived idea of what someone should do. We let them set the agenda. And for me, it's under Christ's umbrella that everything grows and blooms.
And that's so fitting, especially as I look at the cover of your book behind you, which is absolutely beautiful. Well done, Allie. When you're talking about a good coach, as far as like how we don't always have a preset path, bottom line is that, our goal is to help you to come out better than what you started with. Right. But I will tell you, during my time of counseling and healing, and I was placed with the most anointed man, and his name is Tony. It's funny because I'm a board member with another friend's organization, and we were all talking about how everyone needs a Tony. So I have a Tony, and Tony was my counselor for off and on for a couple years. And I remember when I was on the hunt, and I'm extremely tenacious, and I know you know that because you've trained with me and coached with me. But it's something that when I was on the quest for my healing, it was like I was after it. Because I knew that in order for me to get where I was going, I was going to have to put something into it. I mean, this is so crazy. You're going to laugh at me. Well, you already did, because my mic was off. But laugh again. I would go into counseling, and I would refuse to sit in the same place every week. I had a choice between 2 chairs and a couch, and there was absolutely no way that I was going to sit on that couch, because that meant that I really needed help. And obviously I had a lot of pride issues that I needed to deal with.
It was symbolic.
It was. And it's like, asked him, like months later, I'm like, is there something too about the chair picking routine that I actually do? And he said there is. It's a posturing. And it's just a matter, and I know you know this from like a coaching perspective, like we truly have to want to be helped. This is one thing I love about Jesus, is that he doesn't make you do anything. He literally is a gentleman, and he'll let you choose either to lie down and just like not go any further, or he'll equip you by sending someone like a Judy or a Pat to come forward, or anyone, in your life's journey, to help you go that next step for that more. You're made for more. But I asked him as I was on this quest, because I found out at 40 that I had repressed memories and all this other stuff. And I was seeking answers, and I asked him something very poignant. And I'm like, are you always going to, be in this position, or something like, I was wanting him to answer me. And he's just like, Michelle, teachers don't always give students the answers. And in order to be a good learner and a participant, is that you have to sometimes seek the answers out on your own. So, and I know that you've experienced that. But as you've been pursuing this mission to help people understand their value, how do you crack the hard cases of the ones that see themselves as completely worthless? Let me just ask you that, because I've encountered quite a few people recently that have no self-worth. How do you approach that from a coaching perspective?
I listen and try to hear what they're not saying, and scriptural passages about the value that God sees in them, because there's usually some incident or something that they're living with that just keeps knocking them back down, that sends them into the closets crying and screaming, Lord, I can't take this anymore, and we just work through it. And I do have a course for people to take if they wanted to do it in a group setting, and then we do one-on-one coaching. But one of the delineations that has to be made is what a coach does, what a coach does not do, and when it's necessary and appropriate to go into counseling, which most people resist, like you're talking about resisting the couch. And when I go for my infusion every week that I've been doing for 18 years now for a lung and liver disease that I deal with, there's one room that has a bed in it. And I mean, every single room has to be filled up before I'll agree to go in the bed for my treatment. And I'll actually sit on the side of the bed. I'm not lying down. To me, that means I'm kind of giving up. So I know exactly what you're talking about. However, there are times when people need to lie down in the bed for the cancer treatments and the infusions. And they know it, and staff knows it. And sometimes when you're in a coaching situation, it gets to the point where somebody needs to go lie down on a couch in a counseling situation, and there's no humiliation to it. There's no label to it. It's just you and I are strong people. And so there's something in our mind that says that is symbolic. We don't want to do that. But sometimes, as you said in your book, you just have to surrender.
Oh, goodness, yes. My first book, The Battle of Surrender. Isn't that a journey for a strong person to actually have to acquiesce and say, okay, I will submit. That is a journey.
Yeah.
Judy, you're talking about how your mom's words, literally shaped how you felt about yourself. Well, I was a daddy's girl. My dad died when I was 23. I mentioned that earlier, that he had such a powerful influence on me. to the point where I wanted to be like him. Most women, I think, try to model after their mother, but I wanted to model after my dad because, he was the one that controlled the thermostat. He was the one that controlled everything in the house. It's like, I did not want to be in the kitchen. I did not want to be anything like that. I wanted to be like my dad and like run things. So, but it's interesting though, that you talk about, the choice of being in a position and a mindset of knowing when it's okay to lay down and rest. I am one of those ones that has to be given permission. And this is an example that I wanted to share. I'm 18 years old. I am sick. I mean, I was so sick my 18th year in high school. It was like one thing after another. Like, the enemy truly was trying to like take me out. But I was getting my tonsils removed, which is very painful, by the way, especially as you're older. I had strep so many different times. They finally decided to take my tonsils out. And I remember being in that hospital bed. I was in so much pain, and it was a pride thing too, not to cry and all that. My dad had to give me permission to cry before I would start crying and let somebody know that it hurt. I just remember I was strangling on the pain and everything in my throat. And I'm like, that's miserable, but I know what that's like as far as like emotionally too, that there can be so many people that are in our life that actually give us, they constrict our feelings. They constrict our emotions where you can become frozen. So
you lose your voice, even if you're not experiencing tonsillitis, you lose your voice in another way. Would you say?
Almost definitely, yeah. And so that's surrendering to me, as well as for you about like the bed picking and the chair picking routine. That posturing. One of the things I had to learn was discernment and wisdom, which, what I love about Jesus is that we all have individual gifts, spiritual gifts that he imparts, that we all don't get the same because, that makes us unique, but we can liberally pray for wisdom, understanding, discernment, insight, and knowledge. Those things, I ask for on a regular basis, double portion, go out there and grab as much as I can. But I had to learn wisdom and discernment to know that when I am destroying myself from my strengths, when my strengths get out of balance and I become self-destructive. And there's a time where you have to strip the armor off. And I'm retired military too, that you have to rest. That's something that you have to give yourself position. And the safest place to go is on the breast of Jesus. And, he's the breasty one who nourishes. That's another name for him. I think it's Jehovah Sidkenu is how it's actually pronounced, but it's something that I had to see him in a way that he was nurturing, and not having been in a nurturing environment, I had to learn how to be nurtured. Did you have to go through that too?
Yeah, I feel like Jesus is the best nurturer. It's hard to find a human nurturer.
No, I agree. I kind of see him as I like birds. I feed them. I see him as a big bird with large feathers, bringing us under his wings. You're getting so many comments here for you guys that are on Facebook. Love the fact that you're really active today and chatting. So you're getting all this loves, accolades from folks in here. Nanette's on here watching, and we see Rebecca's here. And everyone says you look beautiful. And I agree, you do. Stunning. She's a fashion plate. Lisa's on here watching. Hey, Lisa. Lisa and I used to work together. So let's look at here. Dara said that happened to her tonsils as a young adult. It was painful. So relating to the pain, losing her voice has been a big area of healing for her as well. And you're right, you can lose your voice in another way. And it's not just a physical thing. There's a gag order that comes on when you experience trauma. And trauma to one person could be like being in a car wreck and, losing, all your ability to do what. And trauma could be another thing too, of being trapped in a car and seeing something as a child that you shouldn't see. We all see trauma and define it differently, but bottom line, it's pain. So pain that you don't cope with can actually restrict you from the more that you help people to get to. So what are some of the things that you think that are holding women in particular back? I know there's a lot of guys that are on here watching, but you focus primarily on women in your coaching practice. What are you encountering that is like really binding for the people that you're helping?
I'm really focused on the effects of pornography on women, because pornography is just, It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I think that a lot of men don't understand how devastating it is to a woman to be constantly seen as a sex object. And I'm going to tell you a story about a little boy who is 10 years old that really has touched me. He told his father that he was so glad that it was wintertime because girls wore more clothes.
Wow.
That's 10 years old. And he is being affected by, it's not necessarily pornography. It's just scantily clad women and the way the culture creates their ads and the way they communicate and what goes in your eyes and what it just goes down into your heart. And those images, like the ones I had as a young girl, so many of them are still there. So what I'm running into is women who are living in situations where their husbands are into pornography. They want them to participate in the pornography and are asking their wives to do certain things because they have seen them in movies or in magazines. And here's this whole Christian wife doing what her husband wants her to do, but feeling just so crushed and so worthless and so used and abused inside, but having nowhere to go. So I would say that that is really who I can communicate with and help a lot. And I've been to a retreat years ago where there were spouses of, there was a doctor's wife there, there were pastors' wives there, there were public figures' wives there, which translates to confidentiality, talking about having no voice. I mean, they have no voice. They're completely trapped in their world and being exposed to that type of thing. To me, that's just the epitome of being crushed and lowest self-esteem that I'm experiencing hearing from other women.
Wow, that is such an epidemic as well, too. And I'm listening to the words that you're saying and how, you know, I'm the mother of two beautiful girls. And, you know, even if I had a boy as well, that you're really an advocate for the protection of innocence, you know, because that value can be so impacted by, you know, what they're exposed to and what we're exposed to. And this is something that I can tell you that when I had Hayden, and those of you guys that know me, I was an older mom when I had Hayden. I was 33, and I was really old when I had Karis. So Karis was a surprise blessing miracle. But I really felt
your age when you had Karis. I think that speaks to people who might be in the audience.
Yeah, I was 45 when, well, I was 44 when I found out I was pregnant, but I was 45 when I actually birthed this miracle baby, and I had a history of miscarriages. I'm actually going to do my backstory on that book. There's a book that came out of that called Song of the Barren, but the Lord had to do a miracle in me and through me, and it was decreed prophetically, by the way. I'll talk more about that later. But one of the things that I can tell you that when I had Hayden was such a unique baby, and I know every mom's, you know, probably thinking that their kid's all that in a bag of chips. But Hayden was very unique. It's like, I've never seen a baby with that much light in her eyes. She was the chisel that the Lord used on me to start, you know, getting that armor that was ungodly off of me. I was very hard. I was a hard woman. And when people found out that I was pregnant, they thought, you know, I was the type to eat my own child. So they were just like very, very surprised. Yeah. give you that nice little visual of Michelle Chudy there. But it was something that, the Lord used her to soften me. And of course, Mark and I used to joke around that, the two of us had too much testosterone for us to have a girl. And out comes Hayden, who bleeds pink. She does beauty pageants. I was the athlete that played sports year round. And then Hayden's just like, Mommy, I don't want to get splack on my face. I don't want to sweat. She didn't want to play sports, anything that was going to require anything of exertion. So along comes this little girl. And then I was so vigilant because I realized that, one, I waited to get pregnant, and I took that role very seriously. And I petitioned the Lord, because it wasn't ever a guarantee that I was going to be able to get pregnant. And I said, Lord, if you decide to give me a child, I will raise her in your ways. And 6 months later, I'm pregnant with her. And it was something that I was so adamant that I was going to protect her innocence, and everything from, what she sees, because you can't take that stuff back. Things can heal and memories can, be worked around, but it's a longer journey. It's something where you take a detour. I was trying to get her the straightest way down to where, she needs to be into her calling and nurture that and raise that up. So that breaks my heart to hear what you said about a 10-year-old boy. And I know it's worse than that, because, they're exposed so easily. Karis has seen things on YouTube when she was supposed to be watching like little funny kid videos, and then people are injecting things that are adult material in kids' costumes. You can't take that stuff back. So I'm glad that you're on the wall. I feel safe knowing that I have a Judi Reid up there with a trumpet of a voice, and it's you Southern Belle self, that you're out there tearing down the lies, because there is a gag order over those areas of shame, and it's shame based, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you rallied to the point. So, okay. So this time's flying. It's 10 till. I want to tell people about your book in just a second, but you're getting a lot of comments on Facebook, and also on Zoom. We have Linda. She said, under Christ's umbrella, everything blooms and grows, and that this is beautiful. And I agree, because you're a beautiful person. You can't do anything but be beautiful. And Annette says, preach it, girl. And I say, hey, to Audrey Anderson, my friend from San Antonio. Love my Audrey. And Michelle Jones is on here, and she's asking you to tell us how you've grown in the process since writing your book. What has the Holy Spirit shown you? Great question, Michelle.
Listen, writing a book is so much fun. It is so much fun. This may not be important to you, but it was fun for me. You know who Alexa is?
Well, I have a Siri. she's my secretary.
Well, when the book reached #1 this time, Alexa had it on her machine. I don't know how she got it or anything. So I was able to say, Alexa, read to me Rise Up, 71 Thoughts of Hope and Inspiration for Women of Value by Judi Reid. And she read it. It was just so much fun to think that I had gone from the book at 70 years old, just dying. I mean, the people at my birthday party were thrilled to get it, but I didn't do anything to promote it. And then when I was in KBA and with Allie, we were able to revitalize the book, make it absolutely one of the most gorgeous books in the world, and have it be so meaningful. And now I'm on as a guest on your show. So it opens up doors. I read my book when I have a dump. It just has so much in it. And I think, gosh, I wrote this? Did I really write this? And people say they put it on the bedside table so that they can just grab it when they need it. And because it's in little short pieces, it's just scripture and poems and quotes. So it's as a matter of fact, it was #1 in quick reads. It only takes that means it's less than an hour to read. So, and it's a big business card, a calling card. And people, I'm an author, and people say, you wrote a book? Gee, I'd like to write a book. And I'm saying, well, then why don't you?
Well, see, I'm glad that you're encouraging people, because I know you've heard me say this before, that I believe there's a book in each of us, that we at least have one book. And you have to tell your story. It's so important. Just like, Judy said in the beginning that she wrote this to be a legacy and to give it back. I mean, who writes a book and hands it out at her birthday party? It's like only Judi Reid. What an inspiration. Okay. We have questions here on Facebook that I want to ask you, but I want to share your book so people know how to get to it. And by the way, if you're on Facebook, leave your name and email if you want in on the giveaways. Judy's giving away free signed copies. Today there's going to be like 3 winners that are drawn. And then she also has a beautiful print that Allie has designed, her virtual assistant, who's not really virtual, she's real. She actually has a download for you. I'm going to pop that link in Facebook in just a bit so you guys can get to it, but it's already in Zoom. So you guys just have to go in and fill out the information and it'll come to you. But let me share real quick, Judy, your book so people know what it looks like and where to get it. I have the link up here. And there we go. And it click enough. Okay, so it is Rise Up, 71 Thoughts of Hope and Inspiration for Women of Value. And yes, men, I know this is something that says women, but trust me, it is not gender biased. You can read it and glean from this too. And you can definitely get this for people that you love that are women. And Christmas is coming up. So I love the fact that all these authors are coming up and blessing people with great ideas for gifts. So you can get this book, and this is a link to the print version. I know a lot of people like the ebook stuff, but I did the print version for Judy because, I really like the idea of how you can have this right beside of your bed. It's hard to do that with an ebook, and especially when you're trying to go to sleep. So go ahead and check out this link. It's https://amzn.to/2LBLS3Q. Beautiful cover. Well done on that. And the tulip is significant for Judy. I want to ask her about that in just a minute before we sign off here. But again, if you guys want to get a hold of this book, you can download it. I'm sorry, you can get the download as well on Amazon, but this is to the print version. It's https://amzn.to/2LBLS3Q. Okay.
Can I just chime in right here?
You sure can.
A lot of the topics that we've discussed today have been deep, and you're suggesting that people might want to give this as a Christmas present. So I want to make sure that the audience understands that it is for hope and inspiration, and it does have quotes and scriptures and poems in it. So if you wanted to give it to somebody for hope and inspiration, they're not going to know all the background that you all were privy to hear today. So it takes on a different aspect if you look at it like that.
That's exactly why we have these launch author reveals, because people don't know the journey to get to the story on the paper. And when you understand what was not said and what came out, that's the beauty of the backstory and the author reveal, because you are truly imparting a treasure by sharing this today. And I just, if you guys are, going to give this book as a gift, share that for those of you that have been blessed by hearing what Judy has had to share. Okay, so let's go back. You have the chat is so active in Facebook. So let me see here. First of all, you have a thank you just for being a pillar of righteousness and one of healing and comfort for the family unit. The enemy is attempting to destroy households through pornography, from parents to the children and their grandchildren. So bless you for standing on the wall. I just want to definitely voice that, because that is my sentiments exactly. And you have a question, what advice would you give to girls or women that are looking for value or worth?
To look within, honestly, to see what the scripture says. And that's one reason Allie designed this print for me, because it's something that we can hold in front of us and see exactly what God says about us, because the culture and other people are sending different messages. And I just think it's real important to put the armor on and know that you are valuable to God regardless of what anybody else is telling you or what you're seeing around you.
I tell you that you are a voice that has been a reinforcement message to other authors that have come on before you. The importance when you're doing identity work and knowing, trying to pull off what's not you and coming out into who you are. It's about speaking truth. And the truth that matters, I write about this in my second book, The House of You. You really have to understand who Jesus says you are, because it's his voice that matters. That, you know, he's the one that designed us, and then also said he were supposed to be. It's not his will for us to experience the things that we've gone through, you know, the pain that you went through, the pain that I went through. But he does help us to get through, and to break down those walls is to speak truth over yourself. And Rena even talked about this when she was on Tuesday, about how you can train yourself, even with the painful memories, that your brain has that plasticity. I forgot what she called it, but your brain's moldable. You can take something and work through and heal those areas. And it has to do with taking out the negative and putting in the positive. And that's exactly what you're saying, as far as like, look within to who you're truly made to be and speaking that truth out. Rena said, you know, memories are changeable. Yeah, thank you, Rita. Thank you for being on here watching, Rena, and adding your expertise in. It's like y'all are surrounding me with awesomeness and great skill set. So you're hemming me in. Thank you.
Well, she's exactly right. I study the brain also, and I'm so glad that she said that when she was on here. But one other point I'd like to make real quickly about Christian authors is that we are taking a slot in the world to stand up for Christ. And if you go on any kind of book list and see what the world is touting as the truth and the way they think the world should be, we really do need strong Christian authors to be out there, if for no other reason, as a mission to keep, well, hopefully to get higher than when like somebody's book was on there and it was number 1, and the number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were on witchcraft and the occult.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Lord. But you don't realize it till you're an author and you start studying this and see how important a Christian truth book is, and how much it can mean to somebody.
You know, Judy, I want to take that a step further, if I may, is that, you know, for those of us that, and everyone has been designed for a purpose and a calling and a distinct, unique existence on this world, or in this world. And when you don't do what you're called to do, there is a gap in that place. And, you know, just like, you know, for the Christian author or anything that you're called to do, whether it's, you know, baking or it's something where you're, you know, designing buildings, you're called to do something very specific. And when you choose not to rise up, as Judy says, and, you know, and you're made for more and to be in that more, you're literally creating a deficit. And people are blessed by you being who you are and being authentic. So you have a couple questions in here. And this is something that, you know, one, neuroplasticity. Thank you, Michelle Jones. And she's everyone's weighing in here too. And so you have a question from Linda. She wants to know, how did you come up with the 71 points? And I want to say, hey, to Jim, one of my friends from back home is watching as well. So see you guys watching on Facebook. But how did you come up with your 71 points?
Oh, I'm so glad somebody asked that. This is fun. It was my 70th birthday. And I wanted to put the number 71 there because it indicated that my life wasn't over at 70, that I was going to move on to 71 and beyond.
Wow. You know, we have this thing going on here with being prophetic in our actions. We're making declarations by the things that we're doing, that symbology. That's powerful. So the 71 was your and more. That was your more.
That's right.
Wow. Great, great, great question. So thank you for answering that and being so honest in that. And I know that you actually value what you do and know that you're in a position where the days that you've been given are redeemed, and you're redeeming your time. You're a good steward of that. I just want to say well done. And Kim asked a question, and she wants to know, how do you get your Kindle, or how does she get your Kindle version downloaded? Kim, I will post that link as well into the Facebook. So I'll switch that over there. I don't have that link with me right now, but it is on Amazon. She has multiple things that you can actually pull down. I did actually source the print just because I love the concept of having it on the stand at night and just readily available. I'm tactile. And I'm old-fashioned. I like paper. So, and I love to see Judy's book in paper, and it's too beautiful to have it just like in an iPad or something. Nothing against ebooks, not saying. It's like I love the feel. Okay, so let's get back here on Facebook just to see. I know we're running a little bit past, but because I was like a moving mouth with no volume, I'm going to take us a few minutes over if you can hang with me for those who are on here. So Michelle recommends that you connect with Enough is Enough. It's a ministry started by Donna Rice Hughes to safeguard children from pornography on the internet. So there's a ministry contact here. She says she's based in Northern Virginia. So I'll make sure that you get that information. You can actually action that if you choose to. But
well, I appreciate that, but I do think it's important. I'm a member of the National Coalition Against Sexual Exploitation. And if people are looking for places to go for help, I think that would be one organization that's on my website. But also it's important to not do this alone, to make sure that you stay connected to the people who are out there advocating, so that you don't feel like, is it just me? Is it just my story? And you find out, no, there are other people out there that are actually advocating on your behalf. So thank you for that.
It's great, the numbers.
Great organization.
Yeah, I love the fact that you are still, with everything within you, living out a passion for what you know is right and true, and you're making sure that you do everything to see, even if it's just one, restored. I love that about you. You're a gift that keeps on giving. If I could put a bow on you, I would. Just wrap you up and take you home with me. So, okay, we're past the top of the hour. So I want to go ahead and wrap up here. Judy, where can people get a hold of you? Where are some of the places? I know you're all over social media, but if people wanted to reach back to you, where can they find you?
My website is www.women, WOMEN, of OF value, VALUE.org, womenofvalue.org.
That's great. And you're on social media. I know you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're pretty much out there everywhere. So good presence. So if you need to find her, and just so you know, it's Judi. If you're looking to, she's not the traditional Judy. So she's Judi, and her last name is Reid. So as you're searching for her, and this is not her first book that she's written, so you might see other references where she's contributed to other things as well. She's obviously gifted in so many areas, but follow Judy on social media, go out, visit her website. You have the link in Zoom to get the downloadable print, which is absolutely beautiful. But she is giving away 3 signed copies of her book, her best-selling book, Rise Up. So if you are on Facebook, I'm going to pop the link in for you to action for the downloadable print. But also, if you want in on the giveaway on Facebook, you need to message my page with your email, or put it in the comments of the video, so I actually can put you into the drawing for that. So that being said, my friend, thank you for honoring me by coming on to the Launch Author Reveal. Love sharing your story, and you just blessed me in so many ways, and I feel privileged that you were willing to trust me with being live and all my goofiness.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
No, it's my pleasure. It's one of we've learned to laugh along the way. It's all about, having fun and enjoying the journey. And you guys, every life is beautiful. And I want you to reveal the beauty within yours. Tell your story. And if you're if you want to be a launch author, if you want to come on, if you've written a book that's uplifting, edifying, or educational, all you have to do is come on or go to launchauthorreveal.com. and let me know how I can help you, and we'll get you on and we'll have fun. And literally, we never know what's going to happen on these live reveals. But thank you guys for coming on today, for hearing Judy's story. Go on to Facebook, share this, tell people about the Launch Author Reveal, because it's all about taking you back into the heart of the author to find out why they've written what they have. And for you to be blessed. You get good reads, you get great stories, we have fun along the journey. So, okay. Going into next week, we're going to do something different. We're going to change it up. We're doing a flip reveal. So guess who's going to be the author? Moi. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about Song of the Barren. It is my last book that I published in March, and it is about my journey through heartbreak, pregnancy, loss, and miscarriage into receiving a miracle, a literal miracle. So I am going to be on Tuesday. And the lovely one and only Michelle Jones will be hosting as a guest host, Launch Author Reveal host. So we're going to have fun next week. Great giveaways. I'm giving away a lot for you all. I just want to bless you. It's my Christmas gift to you. So I'm giving away signed copies. There's going to be downloads. There's going to be, I'm even giving away a strategy session. So watch us next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Judy, again, thank you for blessing me by coming on today. And I love you, love you, love you.
Thank you.
And you're a gift from the Lord. And I thank you. I thank the Lord for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So God bless you all. Thanks for watching the Launch Author Reveal. And we will catch you on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys go out, tell people about the live talk show, and go get Judy's books. I'll pop the links in a second. That way you can access the downloads. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Launch Author Reveal with Michelle Chudy. Write a book? Get launched. Head over to launchauthorreveal.com. Every life is a beautiful story. Reveal yours and let it shine.
You could be larger than life.